All right, everybody, we are going to get started shortly. So if you wouldn't mind taking a seat. So if you would excuse me for a quick moment, I have to do a quick selfie. Well, it's a long story because my mom, I quit my job last year of 17 years and doing the same thing, electrical engineering. My mom was like, "You quit your job to do what?" And hopefully this photo will kind of dispel those, or make her be proud of me, so to speak. I got Asian issues. So I can't tell you how happy I am to be here because when my wife and I first started selling online in 2007, we really had no one to talk to. It was just the two of us. And just to see all of you guys here, I'm going to try to get a chance to meet all of you throughout this weekend. It just makes me happy because that means I have all these new friends to talk to about e-commerce, and that makes me really happy. So I just want a quick show of hands because I wasn't sure about the demographics for this conference exactly. How many of you guys are selling on Amazon right now? Please raise your hand. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's a lot. How many of you guys are selling just on your own e-commerce store? Okay, wow, that's like 5% maybe. How many of you guys are selling on both your own e-commerce store and Amazon? Okay. Well, if you guys are selling on Amazon, you are in the right place. So where do buyers start their shopping experience today? Well, 55% of shoppers now start on Amazon. And over the years, the amount of people that start on Google has been declining. So between 2015 to 2016, it's gone down from 34% to 28%. And the percentage of people who actually start out on retail websites has been reduced from 21% to 16%. And if you look at how people shop today, 90% of consumers actually check Amazon even if they found their product elsewhere. And check out some of these stats. They're crazy, right? 300 million Amazon.com users. How many people are there in the US, right? Something like 330 million or so. Over 100,000 sellers are making over $100,000 a year on Amazon, selling on Amazon. 80% of US customers purchase at least once a month, and 20% of shoppers buy once per week. And I'm pretty sure, Jen, you can confirm this, but we're one of those 20%, right? We shop there at least once a week. And if you look at Amazon's growth over the years, it's crazy, right? So for 2017, they are projected to make $136 billion. So there's no end in sight to this Amazon freight train. So the question remains, and I was on this long romantic walk along the beach with Mike Jackness, I believe. And we were talking about this, right? So Amazon's so easy, right? You send your stuff over there, and then they give you money. And meanwhile, Mike and I, we both run our own e-commerce stores. We have customer support. We have packing fulfillment. We have our own warehouse. And that's really expensive. And would it be just a whole lot easier? We could save a whole lot of money if we just let Amazon take over the entire operation, save us a lot of money, and make us a lot more money in the short term. And so what I'm going to try to answer today is kind of my thoughts on this, going all in on Amazon. And I want to start with my story because I know some of you guys don't know my story. My wife, this is a picture of my wife. She's here right in the front of the audience. She's, she looks like she's going to cry here because she is, but it's not because we're about to get married. She actually knew she was going to cry at our wedding, and we looked all over the place for handkerchiefs because we spent a lot of money on photography. And what ended up happening was we couldn't find anyone in the US who sold handkerchiefs. And we ended up finding this manufacturer in China, imported a bunch, used just a handful, and then we sold the rest on eBay, and they ended up selling like hotcakes. So fast forward several years, when she became pregnant with our first child, she knew she wanted to stay at home with our kids, and she was going to quit her job and stay at home. And where we live in Silicon Valley, it's really expensive. And we were about to lose $100,000 worth of profit. And so what we did is we got back together with that Asian vendor, imported a bunch of handkerchiefs, and we started our online store, bumblebeelinens.com. And this is back in 2007. And so we ended up supplanting her salary, which was $100,000, within a year. And this store has actually been growing in the double and triple digits ever since. And so I quoted a bunch of macro statistics in the beginning, but on the micro level, I can just talk a little bit about our store. I mentioned earlier that the number of people who start out on organic search has dropped dramatically, but our organic search traffic has actually increased 24.4% between 2015 and 2016. Our store has been still growing in the double and triple digits. I think we grew 22% last year and 35% the year before. Here's the thing, 73% of business-to-business buyers actually still start their shopping experience on Google and not Amazon. And the business-to-business market is actually more than triple the size of the consumer market. And here's the statistic that really stands out to me. 70% of buyers actually check other e-commerce sites after they've found a product on Amazon, which basically means that they are checking up on the brand before they buy on Amazon, 70% of people. And here's the thing also. Because you guys are all here and you're selling physical products online, you're in good shape because we're still at the tip of the iceberg in terms of e-commerce overall. So last year, e-commerce was only 8.5% of total retail sales. And that's only going to go up higher and higher as time goes on. So just by nature of selling products online and just riding this wave, your business will increase as e-commerce increases. So in terms of trying to answer that question on whether to go all in on Amazon, I do want to tell you a quick story. Many of you know I run the blog mywifequitherjob.com, where I kind of document our story and our experiences running our e-commerce store. And this blog, it was really hard for me to do because it didn't make any money at all for the first 3 years. I wrote for it religiously. No one was reading it. In fact, my mom wasn't even reading it, which in the beginning is really embarrassing. But over time, it started making some money. And by year 3, I hit the jackpot doing affiliate marketing. So I had these 2 affiliates that were just 2 affiliates that were making me over $100,000 every single year. And I didn't have to do a single thing. I ranked in Google, and I was just referring traffic to these businesses, no customer support. It was like 100% profit. And at that point, I was thinking to myself, because we were still running our store, and I was still working full time, I was thinking to myself, wow, this is easy money. I don't have to do anything. Why don't I just go all in on affiliate marketing, cut back on the e-commerce store, and just let it ride, right? Because this is easy. But then what happened 2 years later was that I got this call from my affiliate, and he was saying, hey, in 3 months, we're canceling our affiliate program. And all of a sudden, I lost $100,000 in revenue in a matter of 3 months. And that was pretty devastating to me. And here's the thing. Like I mentioned that it wasn't a whole lot of work to generate that revenue, but I wrote a lot of blog posts specifically to promote those companies. And all that work that I put in to get those posts ranked in Google was all for naught. And so here's the thing. When it comes to depending on third parties, things are always good when they're good. But when they don't need you anymore, things can go the other way. So these 2 affiliates, in the beginning, when their businesses were not that mature, they needed me to drive them traffic. But once they became mature and they didn't need me anymore, they dropped me. Okay, so that's one of the dangers. And if you look at Amazon's track record, what have they done in just the past year? They've reduced the affiliate payout for bloggers. Like, I'm friends with a lot of bloggers, and a lot of my blogger friends have seen their revenues cut in half just due to an overnight change. They've banned incentivized reviews. They started blocking email correspondence, which reduces the effectiveness of email autoresponders on Amazon. They've increased the prices of FBA pretty dramatically. They removed the ability to ship in unbranded boxes for multi-order fulfillment. A lot of malicious sellers, they're trying to deal with them, but they're still out there, and they're causing a lot of ruckus. But here's the thing. Amazon's policies are beyond your control, and they are somewhat unpredictable. I should say they're usually unpredictable, but we just happen to have 2 e-commerce philosophers in the audience today, Chufucius and Larstradamus. Where's Larstradamus? He's in here somewhere. There he is. He's back there. Here's the thing. I used to think this guy was just like this goofy dude with a beard, but he's actually has a track record. So 2 years ago, Lars Stradamus told me that this whole incentivized reviews thing was going down. And I was like, I don't know. And then later he said, this whole email autoresponder thing is going down. And I was like, all right, you're on crack. Why don't you go shave your beard, Lars? But he turned out to be correct. And so I thought I'd just reflect some of his latest predictions, and maybe we can check back in a year to see if they're in fact true. So Lars Stradamus says that the days of pushing mediocre Me Too products are coming to an end. I believe that one because it's getting more and more competitive. Aggressive email autoresponders will soon die altogether. I think True Fuchsia somewhat agrees with that one. Amazon will crack down on manipulative SEO or listing techniques. Amazon will change the sales rank metric so sellers cannot easily do research. I'm not sure if I agree with this one. He thinks that tools like Jungle Scout will not be effective because they're going to remove the BSR metric. And Amazon will crack down on listing A/B testing because it's not necessarily good for the shopping experience. Okay, and so just remember these predictions. We'll check back in a year and see if they actually come true. Now, in terms of True Fuchsias thinks that Amazon will no longer offer multi-channel fulfillment. As Amazon's warehouses get fuller and fuller, well, guess who they're going to kick out? They're not going to kick out their FBA customers. Amazon will not allow any registered brands to gate their, will allow any registered brand to gate their products. I think this is already happening. The search algorithms are going to change constantly. So I've been doing this for a long time, and Google actually is going, Amazon's going through the same thing that Google went through several years ago. A lot of people were trying to game the system, and so Google kept changing up their algorithms, disrupting everything. I see that happening to Amazon in the coming years. They'll make strong moves to favor professional sellers. There are a lot of counterfeits out there. They're just going to try to squash that. And here's the thing. I think Amazon is going to continue to create more of their own brands. And I want to encourage you guys to talk to Bernie. He's an 8-figure Amazon seller. He's going to be talking. He's had Amazon take over a lot of his products. So they find out what's selling, and then they release something that's very similar. And as soon as that happens, his product slowly goes down in sales. So when it comes to putting all of your eggs in one basket, here's the thing. So we import a lot of stuff from China. And sometimes we're floating like $250,000, maybe $300,000. And if one of our sales channels, or if our main sales channel, or only sales channel were to dry up, we'd be in pretty big trouble. And so I'm always a big Elon Musk fan, and his philosophy is, it's all right to have all your eggs in one basket as long as you control your basket. And as soon as you find that you're starting to import these large quantities, like I have friends who take out loans to buy inventory. That's like one of the downsides of doing an inventory-based business. And if you're floating all this money and you got to pay these loans back, well, if you get banned or something like that, then you could be in a lot of trouble. So you just got to be aware of that. So that's why I encourage all of you guys to start your own brand. It's a much slower process, and I know a lot of you guys, just judging by that quick survey that I did earlier, a lot of you guys aren't selling on your own site, and I'm guessing that you're worried about driving traffic to your own site. Like, where are you going to get all of your customers to come to your store as opposed to Amazon, which has such a large built-in marketplace? So I want to tell you a story. This is my daughter, and she's in the Girl Scouts. And last year was the first year that she had to sell these cookies. Just real quick, anyone here have daughters that are in the Girl Scouts? Okay. All right, not that many. But it's hard to sell these cookies. They think it's like so much fun, and I'm thinking to myself, oh God, I gotta drag this cart all around my neighborhood and like beg like my neighbors to buy cookies. I gotta sit outside of the grocery store, supermarket, wait for people to come out so we can sell these cookies. And here's the thing. Selling these cookies is hard. The market is saturated. You might think that your daughter is like the cutest girl in town, but there's all these other cute girls selling the same cookies, the same exact cookies. The market is saturated, and a lot of times people aren't going to buy a whole bunch of boxes, right? They're going to buy from the first person that they find, and they're not going to buy any more because you can't eat that many cookies. And you guys don't really know me that well yet, but I'm really competitive, okay? And so I didn't really like what this turned me into. Like, Girl Scouts I saw on the street, I would give them these like dirty looks. I was still working at the time, and usually what the parents do is they leave out these sign-up sheets on the table for people to just buy cookies, and I would just casually slide them over to the back and put mine prominently in the front. It was really a lot. I was really competitive, and I wanted to meet our goal. She actually committed to 125 boxes, which I thought was, it didn't sound like much, because we do all these units like every single day, right? But 125 boxes, believe it or not, is pretty hard. And I got so desperate. Any of you guys watch The Office here? I got so desperate that I would go to work, and I'd go to my employees, and I'd be like, so, you know, performance reviews are coming up. And about those cookies, can I put you down for Thin Mints? And I got really desperate also that I started threatening other groups. Like, my group had to deliver certain things, and I'd be like, I don't know if we're on schedule, but maybe if, you know, if you could buy some cookies, we might be able to bump you guys up on the priority list. So that's the man that I had turned into. And I tried to exploit my daughter's cuteness as much as I could. So I had pictures of her holding little signs. And here's the thing. I knew that selling cookies was really hard when I approached a very close friend, someone who I work with every day, my partner for the conference. And here's how the conversation went. I was like, hey, Tony, man, I got to sell these Girl Scout cookies. It's been really tough. Hint, hint, hint. I didn't ask her directly. And then before I even had a chance to ask her, she was like, I will not buy your cookies, and it's not anything against you. I get approached. I have nieces. They try to sell me these cookies, and I'm just not going to do it. And that was it. And so I was like, okay, great. And so what ended up happening, oh, I forgot to tell you this. I'm going to out you right now. Tony runs this store called The Oil Collection. And here's how I pitched it to her, actually. She runs this store called The Oil Collection, and the way she keeps costs low is that she employs innocent children in sweatshops, and she pays them with Slurpees. And so I thought that as a performance incentive, she could give out her children Girl Scout cookies as a reward in addition to the Slurpees. But she didn't buy any of that. So what ended up happening is 125 boxes, we sold them all. It took 6 weeks, but it was extremely painful. And I don't remember, but I think we ended up buying a bunch of boxes too, just to kind of make up her quota, so she could get these little patches that are like worth like 10 cents if you get them from China. So fast forward to this year. I didn't want this to happen again. I wanted to get smart about Girl Scout selling. Okay, and so what are the negatives about selling Girl Scout cookies? Everyone is selling the same thing, right? So I contacted my buddy Greg. I was like, dude, you have this Jungle Scout brand. Why don't we market our own line of cookies? Jungle Mints. Jungle Mints, you know, I don't know if you guys buy Girl Scout cookies, but over time, like, some of these boxes now only have 15 cookies. But we could have 20 cookies. We could leverage the Jungle Scout brand and sell more cookies. But Greg wasn't a part of that. So what we ended up doing is we leveraged the power of Facebook. And so we had my daughter put together some sales videos. And this is one of the videos that we put together to start the cookie campaign.
Hi, I'm not selling Girl Scout cookies until March 5th, so better buy them quick. Last year, I sold 125 boxes of cookies. This year, my goal is to sell the same amount or more. Last year, what I enjoyed most about selling cookies was seeing friends and family when I dropped off the boxes. I also liked selling at our cookie booth. At the end, I was able to go up to complete strangers and ask, do you want Girl Scout cookies? I sold a lot. If you don't want any boxes but still want to support me, please consider buying a gift of caring box. These donated boxes will be given to support the troops or be given to the local food bank. Please buy some cookies. Thank you for your support.
So we're not done yet. So I posted this on my Facebook page, and we got a couple of buyers, just that were friends of mine. And then what we did after that is we made custom thank you videos for all these people. And what ended up happening is my friends would share it on their page, and then random strangers or friends of them would start buying these cookies. So we ended up having all these strangers buy cookies. And when we started doing that, and we just started posting all these videos, Tony finally buckled down, and she actually ended up buying some cookies. However, she had the gall. Sarah and I sincerely hope this sweet little girl will reconsider our offer to work with our fantastic child labor force in beautiful, sunny, tax-free Florida. The nerve of her to offer my daughter a job. So here's the thank you video that we put together for Tony.
When I'm out selling Girl Scout cookies, I love how I can take my essential oils with me with jewelry from the oil collection. It smells so good. By the way, Mrs. Anderson, thank you for offering me a job at your company, but I have to politely decline. After all, I refuse to be a victim of your illegal child labor scheme. Anyway, my daddy tells me that you like to make fun of him all the time. Well, I have a super embarrassing story to tell you about him. Want to hear it? Just sign up for my email newsletter at www.milodimples.com to find out. Once again, that's www.milodimples.com. Thank you for your support.
So here's what happened. We ended up selling 125 boxes in 3 days. And if you look at our sales, 116 boxes were sold online, and just 15 boxes were sold offline. Of course, she still wanted to drag the wagon around the neighborhood, and she still wanted to sit outside the supermarket, but we had already fulfilled our quota, so it was all good at that point. But it just shows the power of what you can do if you just kind of have the right marketing strategy. And so this is a quote that I believe in. A lot of people come up to me and they think that they have really boring products and they don't know how to market it on their own store. But I think it's just all about the copy and all about the marketing. So if you think that your product is too dull, I have news for you. There are no dull products, only dull writers. Okay? I don't know if you guys follow the news, but some dude sold his Suzuki recently. He put together this really intricate video about his car driving through the desert and through like the wilderness. I wish I could have found that video, but he ended up selling his used car like that, like way over asking. All right, so that's what the Seller Summit is all about. I'm not necessarily pro-store or pro-Amazon. I believe in not putting all of your eggs in one basket and kind of diversifying. I believe that all of you guys should be on all channels and not have a single point of failure. And so that's why the curriculum that I put together for this conference covers both. Okay, and so if you're just starting out, and I know several of you guys are just starting out, these are the 3 people that you need to talk to. So Greg Mercer, he is the founder of Jungle Scout, and he's going to talk about how to find profitable products to sell in 2017. And of course, then you're going to need to be able to source these products. And so Manuel, he runs Import Dojo. He actually has his own sourcing company, and he's going to talk about how to source products from Asia, and he's the expert on this, so go talk to him. And then, of course, you're going to need to be able to bring your products in from Asia to your own warehouse, and that's what Pam specializes in. She runs a freight forwarding company. And so between the 3 of these people, you should be able to start your e-commerce store from scratch by the time you leave. Now, once you have your products, you're going to need to launch them. And so that's why I've gotten these 6 guys to help you with that process. So Scott Volker, he is going to talk about how to launch your product in 2017 without incentivized reviews. Brian Johnson is an Amazon PPC expert. He is going to teach you how to run Amazon ads to promote your products. Jeff Cohen, he is going to help you analyze your listings for hotspots and see how you can improve your listings, which may not be performing as well as you would like. Bernie Thompson, as I mentioned earlier, he is an 8-figure Amazon seller, selling electronics, which is perhaps the hardest niche to be selling into. He's going to talk about all the processes that he has in place to be able to run such a large company on Amazon. Brad Moss is a former Amazonian. He was the former head of Seller Central. He's going to talk about the Amazon way and what it takes to make 7 figures on Amazon. And of course, we always have to keep our Amazon accounts healthy. And so Cynthia Stein, she's already pretty well known in this industry for keeping your account healthy and preventing suspensions of your Amazon account. And the sponsors that I've chosen for this event are all companies that I recommend. So Efficient Era is actually the tool that I use to do buyer review matching. So if someone leaves you a negative review, you can automatically tell who left it and then address that person directly. And they also provide alerts. This is kind of a semi-new feature where if something abnormal is going on with your account, you'll get an email that'll tell you. Ignite is actually the tool that I use to run all of my Amazon PPC ads. And so I encourage you to check out this tool because right now it's pretty tedious to do so. Product Labs from Brad Moss. I'm going to be a little bit more mysterious about this one. He has some cool tools that will analyze your sales and provide you with strategies going forward. And he actually has this other tool that will help you find out the demographics of your customers. So be sure to talk to Brad Moss about that. And I also use Scope, which is another Seller Labs tool, which allows you to do a reverse ASIN lookup, which means you can actually peer into the keywords that your competitors are using to rank for their listings and use those keywords in your own. It's very powerful. Okay, now, in terms of running your own shop, I have a lineup of world-class speakers there. Mike Jackness, who I mentioned earlier when we had that romantic stroll along the beach, he is the founder of Color It, and he actually created a 7-figure business in 4 months outside of Amazon. And he's going to be talking about email marketing and giveaways. Steve Weiss is the resident Facebook ads expert. He's actually helped me on several of my campaigns, and I encourage you to go to his talk as well. Jason Katz. He is the CMO at Gen.video, and he's an expert on influencer marketing. As you know, since we don't have incentivized reviews anymore, a great way to get people to your business is to get influencers to promote your products for you. Dana Janzima, she's a good friend of mine. She is an expert at looking at an existing business and tripling its profits in a year. In fact, that's what she does. She likes to buy businesses, really grow them really quickly, and make a lot of money or sell those businesses. Rachel Miller is an expert on growing Facebook fan pages. So I know a lot of you don't necessarily want to learn Facebook ads or want to spend the money. Well, Rachel is known for creating these multi-million member Facebook fan pages from scratch. And then finally, we have Bill D'Alessandro. He runs Elements Brands, which is known as the Procter & Gamble of North Carolina. He has all these little brands under his umbrella brand, and he manages all of this with a bunch of tools and automation. He's actually also an expert at buying and growing business as well, similar to Dana. But he's going to be talking about all the tools of the trade that he uses to automate his business so he could show up at this conference today and speak. So I appreciate that, Bill. I also encourage you, so on the influencer marketing front, I encourage you to talk to Jason Katz of Gen.video, who's a sponsor of the show. And of course, if you decide to sell on your own site, you're going to need a shopping cart. So I encourage you to talk to Big Commerce, who will be out in a booth as well, which is a fully hosted shopping cart that I recommend. And then finally, we have a bunch of alumni. So Jared Starks is our resident conference lawyer. And so if you have any law questions at all, I encourage you to stop Jared. Like, when else are you going to get free advice without having to pay, what, $300 an hour or whatever these lawyers charge? He'll be around to answer your questions. He's also doing a Q&A session, which I'm going to be moderating, where he'll answer all of your law questions. Of course, we have Lars Stradamus. He's not speaking this year, but he'll be around walking the halls, so feel free to ask any questions to him. Spencer Haas, the founder of Longtail Pro, will be around. He's in the audience somewhere. I saw him earlier. If you have any SEO questions, feel free to ask him. Daniel Solid is another 7-figure Amazon seller, spoke last year, and he'll be walking the halls as well. And in terms of these companies, if you ever want to buy or sell an e-commerce business, I encourage you to visit the FE International booth. Well Insurance is actually a company that attracted my eye because a lot of us are afraid of getting suspended. And what they offer is Amazon suspension insurance. So by paying a small fee, in the event that you get suspended, they will give you a payout so you can kind of float your business until you get reinstated on Amazon. And finally, Law Trades is also a sponsor. Jared is actually representing Law Trades at this conference. So once again, if you have any legal questions, feel free to stop Jared Starks. And of course, we have the hosts. So I'm going to be talking about how to break the shackles of Amazon and start your own online store. Tony, who is my co-founder, she's going to be talking about Pinterest. And Liz is our event coordinator, and she's really nice. If you need anything from her, feel free to approach her at any time. She's not going to be holding the knife. Okay, and so I encourage all of you guys to really soak it all in. All these videos, all these presentations are going to be recorded, so just don't feel like you need to furiously take notes, because it'll all be available for you after the conference. And so let's go out and just make some money.